Alright, so first exercise, this is probably my favorite bicep exercise that I've been doing in like all my arm day workouts, and it's seated on a slight incline bicep curl where you hold the dumbbells at your side and you kind of bring it up, and you're gonna at the top raise your elbows forward a little bit with kind of the shoulder flexion, because another function of the bicep is actually shoulder function, and at the very bottom of the rep you're gonna get a deep stretch. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. So set up on the bench with your chest tall, dumbbells at the side beside you, with a bit of a stretch in your bicep, and curl to the top, and in one fluid motion, kind of finish the movement, flexing your shoulders at the top, and bring your elbows forward, and slowly control the weight down. When I do these two, I like to keep my wrist locked in position, not supinating, pronating along the way. For this exercise, I like to do 3 working sets with 1 or 2 warm-ups at the beginning, depending what I'm putting this on in my workout. And I aim for anything between 10 and 15 reps. Because you are in a deep stretch, you don't want to be going too heavy and low volume, so keeping the reps a little bit higher and gets you better bicep pump. So on to exercise number 2. This is going to be a straight bar cable curl. So you're going to want to put the bar as low as you possibly can, so it's not pointing at the bottom. And just curl up, squeezing those pinkies. Getting a tight squeeze at the top. For this exercise, I typically do 3 working sets, 1 warm-up. Only need 1 warm-up because I usually do it later on in my workout. And for my working sets, I usually aim for 10 to 12 reps. Biceps are never something I do low reps, mainly because I'm really trying to focus on mind-muscle connection, and they're not a huge muscle on you, so you really want to just focus on a tight contraction and getting a good pump. And when I add that little finisher to the drag curls, I would usually only put that on the last set, so the 3rd set, and that's just kind of like a deplete the whole muscle, kind of get a really good pump in there, and finish it off strong. Moving on to the 3rd and final exercise, this is going to be a seated barbell or easy bar curl. I have an easy bar here, which is a little bit easier on your wrist. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna sit on a bench like this. You're gonna hold the weight kind of just before your knees here, and you're gonna curl the weight up and control it down like this. So this is similar to the first exercise where we're almost focusing on bringing the weight up here. You're getting a little bit of shoulder flexion for that final little tight contraction of your bicep. Because this is a little bit less range of motion, we're doing this at the end of the workout, as we've already had the big stretch movement, which was the first exercise I explained. One of the key benefits of sitting down in this position and lowering the bar down to your knees is you stop any kind of momentum. So you gotta do really strict form. You wanna stop right before you touch your legs and then control the weight back up. Anything when you're training arms and biceps, anything really, but especially arms, you really wanna focus on the negative of that rep, control the weight down, and then drive it back up. And again, as in any bicep exercise, you can focus on squeezing your ring finger, your pinky finger, get a really tight squeeze. Alright, so first exercise we're going to start here in the cables. I always like warming up my triceps in the cables just to kind of get your elbows a little warm. And this one's really good for like a tricep activation, because what we're going to be doing is starting with the cable at the top here, and you're going to be finishing the movement behind you back here, and that really tight contraction here at the back is a really good activation beginner for your tricep. Because if you think about the deepest part of the stretch in your bicep is back here, that's going to mean the tightest contraction is also back here for your tricep, because they're antagonist muscles. So during this exercise, you're going to want to start, grab the cable machine, and take a few steps back. Personally, I like to do it with no attachment on here. If you want, you can use one end of a rope or a handle, whatever is easiest for you to hold on to. You're going to want to start in a better position. In this exercise, there's 2 kind of variations you can do it, and you'll see people are either normally lowering the weight behind their head or kind of right to the forehead, like crushing their skull, as the name's called. And the more your elbows are forward and you're lowering it kind of down to your face, that's going to hit the lateral head of your tricep more, and then the more you kind of bring it behind your head with a deep stretch, that's going to be hitting the long head here on your tricep. Personally, I'm trying to grow my arms to be like, just have that hang, especially when I hit a front double bicep. So I want, when I hold my arm up here, I want this like drop, so I'm focusing more on the long head. So I'll be focusing on bringing it back further and getting a bit of a deeper stretch. I like to perform this exercise on an incline bench because, again, about that stretch, it helps you kind of get it back a little bit farther. And to be completely honest, it's easier to lie back to an incline than a full flat bench. Start with a bar directly above your head, So your elbows are perpendicular with the floor. You want to control the weight, lower it slowly, get that deep stretch behind your head, and then drive up. Final exercise, we're going to move back to the cables because this is just really my favorite place to be when I'm training arms. And the goal in a lot of my workouts is to hit every muscle from every angle you can. Because we began the workout with a really tight contraction at the back behind you, and in the middle we had the opposite, which was a tight stretch at the top here. We're going to do a little bit in the middle of that range of motion here, and we're going to perform a little bit of variation to the regular tricep push down. So you're going to want to grab the bar, be about 2 feet from the cable machine, pull it down, and you're going to start with your elbows pointing straight down at the floor. First rep, you just drive straight down, and then when you bring it up the next time, you're going to come slowly here and raise your hands up a little bit, and you're letting your elbows fall forward. This range of motion right here, focusing a lot on the long head of your tricep, like I said, the meaty part of it right here, and the final part of the movement where you're pressing down is going to be more of the lateral head.